had a great group tonight. Appreciate everybody coming out on what is now a rainy evening. A couple of schedule things. Fred's going to come up and speak to us shortly. We're going to try to finish up around 8 o'clock or shortly thereafter so that you guys can get to bed in time, right? So a couple of other notes. If you have infants or up to 3 years old, there is childcare in the nursery. And also at the back, in the table back there, there's a sign-up sheet for the Village of Hope newsletter. If you put your name and your email address on that, Fred will get you the regular newsletter, monthly newsletter distributions. And there's also copies back there of the most recent newsletter. So some of you have already met our guests tonight, but we'll go ahead and reintroduce them if you haven't met them already. Mike Hall. Mike, if you could wave, where are you? Mike's in the back. Mike is the owner of Strong Fathers, Strong Families. He's also board president of the Village of Hope, Ghana, member of the Springtown Church of Christ. Mike will be back with us in May to take the pulpit and also be with us for a class time shortly thereafter. Did Francis make it tonight? Fred, I don't think he made it. Okay, Francis didn't make it tonight. Francis was a 2010 graduate from the Village of Hope. We was hoping he could make it tonight. We got Christian is in the other building. Faustina is in the back. She's the managing director of Hope Christian Academy. And Fred Asare is group managing director of Village of Hope, and he will come up shortly. So on behalf of Oakdale Missions Committee, those who in here is on the Oakdale Missions Committee, if you'll raise your hand so you can be recognized. So on behalf of the committee and the Oakdale Church, Fred, we are honored to have each of you with us tonight. We're grateful for this new partnership we have with the Village of Hope, and we look forward to growing this relationship with you in the future, and hopefully you'll see some Oakdale members at the Village of Hope over coming years. We know you have a very busy schedule, and for you to be with us tonight when you have all these relationships around the country that you could be with, but you chose to be here with us tonight, it's very special to us, and it's an honor that you would choose to be here with us tonight. So thank you for being here. So it's Fred Asare.
Good evening. Thank you for welcoming me here, my wife and my 5-year-old son. We are very grateful for the invitation to be with you. We arrived last week and had a very cold welcome in Traverse City, Michigan. Today is the warmest weather we've had in 1 week, so thank you for your warm welcome. I want to spend a few minutes to tell you about the work of the Village of Hope, which is a work of Churches of Christ in Ghana, West Africa. So Village of Hope is actually made up of, well, I think we are having a different PowerPoint.
Use the different, the other direction on the button. There you go.
Oh, okay. But that's supposed to go back. It's going forward. Okay.
You're in the northern hemisphere.
Our mission is to save lives and serve humanity. The work of Village of Hope is in 7 different ministries, and there's an 8th ministry I'll be talking about as well, which is soul winning. So Village of Hope has 2 children's homes or 2 orphanages. One is Hope Children's Place in Bongo. Bongo is way up north of Ghana. Ghana is bordered on the east by Togo, on the west by Ivory Coast, the south by the Atlantic Ocean, and then the north by Burkina Faso. And Bongo is about an hour's drive from the Ghana-Burkina Faso border. And so we have a children's home over there, and then we have another children's home called Hope Children's Village in Fete, which is by the coast. And so between the two children's homes, basically, is the whole length of the country. And then there is a training institute or a trade school that gives vocational skills to teenagers who live on the streets. Then we have a hospital that serves our county and several counties nearby. And then there are 3 schools, 2 elementary schools called Hope Christian Academy and Hope Ridge School. And then there is Hope College, which is a high school. We call it college, but it's a high school. What you call college, we call university. So Hope College is actually a high school. So Hope Children's Village is our first children's home, started in 1996. And currently, we are caring for about 216 children. Of the number, we have 58 in university, and we have about 33 in high school. And so, for the first time in our history, we have more children who are older in high school and university than we've always had younger children who were more. But all these children grew up in the children's home or in the orphanage, went to high school, and went to university. So these are some of the children at the children's place. We also have a baby's home, which we started about 2 years ago, because many babies are abandoned in Ghana. Abortion is illegal in Ghana, so pregnant teenagers cannot have an abortion. So many of them carry their children to term, give birth, and usually when a teenager gets pregnant, it's considered a disgrace. She's brought shame to her family, and so many times the family will disown her for bringing shame to the family. And if she has no job, she has no means of taking care of the baby, when she gives birth, she would often abandon the baby. And so when such a child is found, the first report is made to the police, and they call social services, and then social services brings the child, the abandoned baby, to the Village of Hope. So all the children you see there, they are abandoned. They were abandoned and brought. Some were brought in 2 weeks old, some 1 month old. Actually, yesterday, I had a call from Ghana, and on Sunday, another abandoned baby was found, and they brought that child also to the Village of Hope. So all these babies were abandoned by their mothers because they couldn't take care of them. And we bring them to the Village of Hope, or social services brings them to the Village of Hope, we take care of them. We do not get any support from the state or from the government. All the support is raised from Churches of Christ and from individuals and families to take care of these babies. So all social services does is they bring the babies to us, and then that's it. But we have to take care of them, take care of their medical care through our hospital, and then when they are well stabilized, they go to the baby's home, and then we take care of them until they are given out for adoption. And so our laws in Ghana is that before a child can be given out for adoption, the extended family must give consent. Without the extended family giving consent, the judge will not grant adoption. However, almost 100% of extended families who have orphans and they don't care for the orphans, but they refuse to give consent for adoption because they think it is their blood and they will not want to give their blood for adoption. Some of the grandparents whose children are dead and so their grandchildren have become orphaned will bring their children, the children will come to Village of Hope. And people want to adopt them, but the grandparents will say, if I give that child, my grandchild, for adoption, the ghosts of the dead parents would come and haunt me. So they are afraid of the ghost of the dead children, and so they will not grant adoption. So the orphans who come to the Village of Hope will grow up, go to high school and college, but they are not given out for adoption because most times the families will not give consent. But with abandoned babies, there is no family consent because nobody knows where their families are. And so they are often given out for adoption. These are some of our children in early childhood education Some of them are in elementary school up to the ninth grade, and then some of them are in high school. And then, as I said, we have 33 in high school, and then we have about 58 in college. So these are some of our girls who grew up in the children's home, and some of the boys who grew up in the children's home who are now in college. And then some of the children are not able to go to high school or not able to go to college, so they learn vocational skills like hairdressing or sewing or catering, so that they can have a skill, carpentry, so they can have a skill and get a job. So some of our children, about 11 of them, are currently in vocational skill education. This is part of our campus. It shows the children's homes and then our chapel and a few other facilities on campus. In each home, we have 7 homes or 7 cottages, and each cottage has a married couple as house parents. So in a home, you have the father and the mother taking care of about 16, on average 16, some take care of 18 children in each of the homes. And they take care of kids up to the 9th grade. When they go to 10th grade, that is high school. So 10 through 12th grade is high school, and they go to live in the boarding school, in the dormitory. And so a Ghanaian child going to high school is like an American child going to college. You leave home and you go to the high school that accepts you. Because there are about 20,000 plus elementary schools, but there are less than 1,000 high schools, about 950 high schools. So imagine children from 20,000 ninth grade schools going to 10th grade in 1,000 or so high schools. So not everybody gets to go. And not many communities have high schools. So to go to high school, you leave your community and you go to a high school where you live in the dormitory. And so the children in our homes mostly are children up to 9th grade. 10th grade, they go to the dormitory in the high school, and then when they go to college, they go live on the college campus as well. And the house parents take care of the children in the homes. We have one, the lady on the right in the yellow dress takes care of one child who came with multiple disabilities and needed special attention. Last year, 28 new children were brought into the home. Because as more children go to high school and go to college, their beds become empty in the homes. And so as they go, they spend 9 months of the year in school and come home only 3 months for holidays. So around the Christmas time, they come we have a trimester system. We don't use a semester system. So around Christmas is the first trimester break. So they come home for about 3 weeks. And then around the Easter, they come home for 3 weeks. And then in the summer, they will come home for 6 weeks, making a total of about 12 or so weeks. And, pardon me, the rest of the year, they are in school. And so as their beds are empty, we bring in more children. And last year, 36 of our children were baptized into Christ. We believe that our work is not done until souls have been saved for Christ. Because, anybody can feed a child. World Food Program can provide food for children. UNICEF or the United Nations can provide clothing. And the Red Cross can provide shelter, But it is the church that takes care of the soul. And we preach the gospel to the lost. That is our responsibility. So our work is not done just by feeding children or clothing children or giving them good health care or giving them good education. We also teach them about God and we bring them to Christ. And I would say about 98% of the children who go through Village of Hope eventually are baptized into Christ. Last year, 36 were baptized into Christ. And these are some of the children who were baptized into Christ. And outside school, they have various activities as well. And they love to play soccer. Soccer is the number 1 game in Ghana, which is the real football, not your football. So I hear last Sunday there was a competition you call the Super Bowl. Unfortunately, that is not football. So we love to play soccer. Whether it's a brown field of dirt or green grass, everybody loves to play soccer. We were able to renovate some of our buildings. These are some of the children's homes that were renovated because the Boateng buildings was built in 2001. And for 20 years had seen no renovation. And so with the help of many people, we're able to renovate that building. This is inside the sitting room and then the bedroom. The children sleep on bunk beds. This is another home called the Chisholm House, and the inside, and then on the right top is the bedroom, and the bottom, right bottom is the dining hall of the home. And this house was built by the Preston Crest Church of Christ in Dallas. It's actually 2 houses for the children, and that was also renovated last year. Every year we have a homecoming. As I said, our children from 10th grade go to high school and they go to boarding school. And so 10th grade through 12th grade and those in the university don't live on campus. But every Christmas, everybody comes back. And so the children in university, the children in high school come back home. Also, those who are now adults, who have graduated, are independent. They come with their spouses and with their children. And so we have a big Thanksgiving or a big homecoming every December. And so there's plenty to eat and be happy about. This girl on the left is a college student or a university student who came back for Thanksgiving. Then we have another home or orphanage, as I said, in the northern part of Ghana called Hope Children's Place. And we have 24 children over there. These are some of the children at Hope Children's Place. So these are all children in the northeastern part of the country that we are taking care of. So between these children and the ones in the south, we are taking care of about approximately 250 orphan, abandoned, and destitute children. And then we are also taking care of some children who have been rescued from human trafficking. So there's a lot of human trafficking or child slavery, and when they are rescued, the police will bring those children to the Village of Hope. So we not only take care of orphans and destitute and abandoned children, we also take care of children who have been rescued from slavery or from human trafficking. They are also brought to Village of Hope. And this is our campus in the northern part of the country, where the children have their meals. And you see the picture on the left. Every home has a family devotion every day. First thing in the morning when they wake up, the whole family would have their devotion for a minimum of 30 minutes. Last at night, before they go to bed, there's another family devotion. And this is in every home of the Village of Hope, where we have, the children have a family devotion. So some of the children in the northern region. Then we have Hope Training Institute. Hope Training Institute is for teenagers who live on the streets. Now, these teenagers are on the street not because of crime or drugs. They are on the streets because of poverty. They are usually from the villages. Their grandparents are poor. Their parents are poor. And they decide, well, let me go to the city and see if I can be rich or if I can make it. Well, they come to the city with no education or with no qualification. They end up stuck on the streets. And so we reach out to them on the streets. We convince them why they need to move off the street. We bring them to our vocational training institute called Hope Training Institute. And there we train them for 2 to 3 years. They can then get a skill and move off the street. And so that is what Hope Training Institute is about. We are currently caring for about 37 teenagers, both boys and girls, who have been taken off the streets. And all these teenagers you see lived on the streets and have been brought to Hope Training Institute. So it's a trade school where we teach auto mechanics, we teach sewing, leatherworks, hairdressing, catering, and the like. And these are the trainers, instructors, social workers, and administrators who take care of the teenagers. So this is one of our workshops. Inside the workshop, this is our hairdressing workshop. This is where we train them in hairdressing. And then this is the leatherworks. So we train them to make shoes, belts, bags, backpacks, products made up of leather and sometimes of cloth. So the lady is a hairdresser, a hairdressing instructor, and then on the right top is leatherworks. The right middle picture is auto mechanics. We train some of them to become auto mechanics, and the bottom is sewing. So this is a sewing session. And then we realize they have a lot of talent and gifts in art. So outside the skills we give them, we also train them in artwork. And last year, 8 of them graduated. The graduation gowns they are wearing, they sewed it themselves. Okay, so somebody living on the street is able to come here for 3 years, knows how to sew, and then is able to sew clothing. And in Ghana, most people sew their clothing. So you go to the market and buy a piece of cloth, and then you take it to a seamstress or to a tailor, and then they sew it for you. Okay, so you don't go to the shop and buy it in the shop, but you take a piece of material, and then somebody sews. So once they learn sewing, they have a job, and they don't have to go back to the streets. When they graduate, we give them equipment, and we give them capital of about $200 equivalent so they can become independent. And so if you learn hairdressing, like the lady on the left, she then gets presented with hairdressing equipment. So she can go back to her community and set up her own hairdressing salon, and she's in business. If you learn auto mechanics, like the gentleman on the right, then you can, by the roadside, set up a workshop and start fixing people's vehicles. So we give you equipment. If you learn to be a seamstress, we give you a sewing machine. If you learn leatherworks, we give you an industrial sewing machine so you can sew leather. And we give you capital of about $200. We have social workers who will help you settle in a community so you don't go back to the streets. And we follow up to make sure you are working. Whilst they are under training, we train them in financial literacy as well. So if I make a bag or if I sew clothing like this, how much am I going to charge? And if I sell that shirt or that pants or that dress and I make money, how do I calculate my profit? And how much do I save or invest so I can live off the rest? All these, they are taught whilst they are at the training school. And so when they move out, they truly become independent. More than 500 teenagers since 1999. We started the trade school in 1999. And since then, more than 500 teenagers have been successfully moved off the streets and are living independent, productive lives. These are some of the artworks that they do. All these are, pardon me, all these are hand-drawn pictures that the children are able to do who once lived on the streets. And these are some of the products. And so these bags, you see OTS. OTS stands for Off the Streets. That's our brand name. Off the Streets, OTS. And so they're able to make these bags, they're able to sell these bags, they're able to make a living that way. So they do so many different products, and they're able to sell it and make a living that way. Village of Hope also runs a hospital. Originally, we did not intend to have a hospital, but the children that we are caring for often fell sick. And when they fall sick, you take them to the hospital. The nearest hospital was about 40 miles away. So today, one person falls sick, you take him to the hospital. Tomorrow, 2 people fall sick, you take them to the hospital. The next day, 1 person falls sick, you go to the hospital. Every day we were going to the hospital. And I try to tell the children, why can't you all fall sick on one day? If you can fall sick on one day in the week, we can just make one trip to the hospital. But they didn't mind me. So they were still falling sick. So we decided, why don't we get a nurse? Let's bring one nurse to live on our campus. So when they get sick, she can take care of them. If it's something beyond her, then we can take that child to the hospital. And so we had one nurse, and then she was taking care of our kids. But the communities around us, there's no hospital, there's no healthcare facility. So one day, A farmer went to the bush, to his farm. He fell sick. He was being carried back to the village, and somebody said, well, there's a nurse at the Village of Hope. So they brought this farmer to the nurse, and she treated him, gave him some medication. He went home, and he recovered. Guess what? The next thing we knew, before we wake up in the morning, people are already sitting under a mango tree in front of the nurse's apartment. And she couldn't send them away, so she started treating them. And then more and more people were coming. So we talked to International Healthcare Foundation in Searcy, Arkansas, and they built us a small clinic. And then more people came. We had 2 nurses, 3 nurses. We had to get a doctor. Now it has become a hospital, and it's serving over 40 communities in our county and beyond our county. And so the hospital now has 76 beds, and average daily attendance is about 65. And we have 3 medical doctors. We have 2 physician assistants. We have 5 midwives. We have over 20 nurses. They run a 24/7 shift of 8 hours each. And we have a dentist and a dental clinic, an eye clinic, a pharmacy, and a medical laboratory. And so it's a big hospital that serves a whole county. These are some of the facilities: dental services, optometry, pediatric, and the NICU that we serve. So this is Hope Christian Hospital, our female ward on the left, children's ward on the top right, male ward on the bottom right. And on the left, that is our eye clinic. This is our pharmacy. And this is the medical director. This is our pharmacist, our administrators. This is our medical laboratory. And this is the OPD where some nurses are. And so that is the hospital facility. Ghana is divided into 16 regions, or what you may call states. So Ghana is divided into 16 regions. And in our region, we have about 3 million people. And 3 million people, the only facility that had a NICU was the government-owned hospital in the capital city. So it was only one facility serving 3 million people. And then we have now started a NICU, and that is the second and only one of 2 that serves 3 million people. Being born prematurely in Ghana is just like a death sentence. And so now we are educating the public to know that if a child is born prematurely, that child can still survive. That child can still make it. And it has become a referral center. So in January, this was last year, I think, last year, November or so, we had a group coming from Georgia, the state of Georgia, came to do a prenatal training for some of our staff, and we invited other nurses and doctors from other facilities to also be part of the training. And then we went to town, to the communities to educate them about if they have or hear about a premature birth, they should refer those cases to our hospital. We run 3 schools. Hope Christian Academy is from 2 years to the 9th grade. Currently has about 544 students. That is the school where the children from the orphanage attend, but it's also open to the public. And so people from the communities also bring their children to the school. Those who come from the communities pay school fees, and with that, we are able to run the school. So we have a day called Career Day in Ghana, where students dress like the career or the profession they want to be when they grow up. And so the 3 girls on the right are dressed like nurses. Okay, so that is Career Day. You see this one is dressed like a surgeon, a nurse, a physician, a policewoman, and then these are different careers. So she wants to be a stewardess, and then you see that one with a white wig. he wants to be a judge. So it's an old British tradition where our lawyers and our judges wear the wig, the white wig. So she wants to be a judge, and so she wears that on career day. So our students, once again, enjoy playing soccer. This is our classroom facility, 18 classrooms of Hope Christian Academy. And we have boarding students. So the academy has some day students who are bused in, and then we have boarding students who live on the campus. And so this is some of the boarding students. Then there is a second school called Hope Ridge School. It's also a Christian school in the eastern region of Ghana, from 2-year-olds to the 9th grade. And that has 306 students. And this is the campus of Hope Ridge School. And once again, those who attend this school pay school fees, and with the fees that we collect, we are able to pay our teachers, pay electricity and water bills, and run the school. And this is a classroom inside Hope Ridge. This is what we call a cultural day. So Ghana is made up of different tribes, and so the schools organize cultural day where the different tribes would educate one another about their tribes. That brings about harmony and understanding and peace. And so thankfully, we've not had any intertribal wars because the schools have united people from different tribes, and especially the boarding school system, because almost all high schools are boarding schools. So when you go to high school, you meet people from different tribes, and you live with them in the dormitory. And so it helps to bind the nation or the country together. This is the nursery building for that school, and then this is junior high, which is 7th through 9th grades, pardon me. Then we have a high school called Hope College. Hope College has 398 students. It is 10th, 11th, and 12th grade school. And then at the end of 12th grade, they write a national exam that determines who goes to university. And our students have done very well, and so now more and more people are bringing their children. And so out of the 398 students, only 33 are from the orphanage. And they don't pay. But the rest pay, except those who are given scholarships. So preachers of Churches of Christ who bring their children to the school have scholarship. And then poor people in the community who cannot afford also get full scholarship. So about 17% of our students are on scholarship. But the remaining 83% pay school fees, and that helps the school to be self-financing. And so now, the high school is self-financing. This year, Hope College will make a surplus, and that surplus will be donated to the orphanage. And so that is our hope, that our other elementary schools would also be able to make a surplus, and that will go to support the orphanage. But because of the schools and the hospital, now an orphan who comes to Village of Hope gets free education all the way to 12th grade. When they go to university, we have to pay, for their room and board and tuition. But up to the 12th grade, they can go to a school by the Village of Hope and pay nothing. When they fall sick, they go to the hospital and pay nothing, and they receive medical care. So that is helping us work towards becoming self-sufficient. We want to be self-sufficient. We want to be operationally able to be self-financing. And that is the model that we are using. So Hope College is built with bricks, and this is part of our facilities there. And these are some of our students at the high school. And these are our faculty members. To teach in a high school, you must have a minimum degree of a bachelor's degree. You have to have a bachelor's degree. And so some of our teachers have their master's degrees, but the minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree. This is Hope College Police Cadet Corps. So these are students, and then it's like a club, where they learn about policing, and hopefully in future they can become police officers. And we have a band also at the high school. So as I've said, Village of Hope is made up of 7 different ministries, a high school, 2 elementary schools, a hospital, 2 orphanages make up and then the vocational school or the trade school for street teenagers make up the Village of Hope. But we are also engaged in evangelism, as I've said. In the last 10 years, we've planted about 15 congregations around our area. And so it's not just about caring for children and feeding them and clothing them. It's also about the workers obeying the Great Commission of Jesus and going out to preach the gospel and planting churches. And so we have planted these churches in the villages around us that we work with. And occasionally we bring them together for training because they don't have preachers. So we'll bring the church leaders together and train them so they can help those village churches. So this is one of our training seminars on evangelism and church growth for the village churches that we have planted. So it's also about winning the lost. When we say our mission is to save lives and serve humanity, it's not just physically saving lives only. We do that, but it's also about preaching the gospel to people so they can be saved. And these are some of our baptisms. The picture on the bottom right is in one of the rivers in our area, but the other pictures are in our baptistry at the Village of Hope. We have recently finished a few projects. One is an apartment building for our high school because the high school students are all boarding students. So you have 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds, about 400 of them living on campus, both boys and girls. So you need more teachers who would live there and help to control or manage or supervise those. So we've completed a 6-bedroom facility for that. And last year, too, we were able to buy an additional 5 acres and construct a wall around it to expand our campus. We have just finished a baby's home. Hopefully, from April, we are going to have a national center for babies. So I told you and showed you pictures about our baby's home. That is part of the pediatric unit of the hospital. So it was not constructed as a baby's home, but it's part of the pediatric unit of the hospital. But now we have completed our baby's home that will house 40 babies. And so we are going to go national. Up to now, the babies we take care of are from our region. But we have reached an agreement with social services because there are no facilities in the country that care for abandoned babies. So sometimes if a baby is found in a community, they would find somebody who will volunteer to take care of the baby because the social services does not have a place to take those babies. But with a 40-bed capacity babies home, we are now able to help babies across the nation. So babies from all over Ghana would be able to come and receive care. We are also building another home that would be for children with special needs because these children have no hope, they have no care, they are just abandoned to die, and we want to make a difference by helping those children. So this is the 6-bedroom or 6-apartment, house for teachers in the high school. And then there's the 5 acres of property that we bought. We had to build a wall around it to protect it from encroachment. If you buy land in Ghana and you don't build a wall around it, people can encroach. And so we had to build a wall so as to protect the property that we bought. The home on the left is what has been completed, and that will be the national home for babies who have been abandoned. That will receive babies from all over the country. And then the right would be the special home for babies with special needs. So on this trip, I'm trying to raise money to buy 58 laptops for our students who are in university. When I went to university, we didn't need laptops. We used typewriters. But now, the students need laptops, and they come to me asking for laptops, and I know they need the laptops, But if you have 58 kids that you are taking care of in college, that's a heavy responsibility. And so I'm hoping that we can get some help to be able to buy 58 laptops. A laptop costs about $400 in Ghana, the equivalent of that, so that every university student of Village of Hope will be able to get a laptop for schoolwork. And with the expansion of the babies' home, also, we need support to be able to help those babies that come. Because once again, their medical care is our responsibility. And then they need baby formulas, diapers, and we have caregivers who take care of them around the clock. And so we need help to be able to take care of them. And one of the things that we really need, as an urgent need, is to be able to have a 4-wheel drive that can go across the country and bring those babies. Because sometimes you get a call that there is a baby who has been abandoned 4 hours away. The police would call social services, and social services will call us. And we say, okay, bring the baby, and we'll take care of the baby. But then they say, we don't have a transport. We don't have any vehicle. So social services doesn't have a vehicle, so we have to rally around and find a vehicle and go bring that baby. And time is of essence, because these babies have been exposed. And so if we don't get there on time, it will be too late. And many babies die just because we couldn't find transport to get there on time. Now that is when we are working within our region. Now we are going national. We're going to serve babies all across the country. And so we need a good vehicle that will be able to go anywhere an abandoned child is found and bring that child home. So once we get a call, we have a nurse, we have a social worker, we have a driver ready to go. And that would enable us to save many lives of the babies that we care for. So I want to say a very big thank you to the elders and to the minister and to the missions committee for inviting us to come and share with you about the work of the Village of Hope, which we hope together in partnership with you, we can save lives and serve humanity. And let me end by saying a very big thank you to this congregation, because I know you are sponsoring 5 children from the Village of Hope. We are deeply grateful for that. And so I want to say a very big thank you, and God bless you. So if there's any question, well, I think Michael has a sample of the bags. You want to bring it up here? Yeah, if you can bring it up.
No, they can come back here. We'll be here when they're ready.
All right, so we have samples of the bags that are made by the street teenagers. I know our time is up, so if anyone has a question, I'll be glad to answer. If not, then I want to say thank you very much. God bless us all.